Hello, everybody, and welcome to my latest podcast, where today I review If, the latest film by John Krasinski, who directed the Quiet Place movies, although he's not directing the latest Quiet Place movie. So, If, this is a movie that is a family film, and If meaning imaginary friend, that's what it stands for. And the plot is as follows. A young girl who goes through a difficult experience begins to see everyone's imaginary friends who have been left behind as their real-life friends have grown up. So essentially this is some kind of story about coming of age, and there's also a bereavement theme in there, getting over, loss of a loved one. So there's a lot of emotion to this film. If. Now, I didn't know what to expect going into this movie, because I'd seen the trailers and I just didn't really know what to make of it. I kind of got the idea, okay, there's imaginary creatures that are imaginary friends, and they are meant to be linked to someone. Okay, they have to put these creatures back to their rightful owners. Kind of cool, but the trailer didn't show much beyond that. And the movie itself isn't really much beyond that. As much as I like John Krasinski, I have to admit, this movie is not perfect. I think it's enjoyable. It's a little bit cluttered. I think the problem with this movie is that it has a strong beginning and a strong ending, but the middle is very weak. The middle is limp. I have to say, the second act of this film dragged on so much. It started to really slow down to a sluggish pace, and I started to lose interest midway through the movie. The whole plot regarding the girl, B, that's her name, B, nothing else. And Ryan Reynolds' character, putting the creatures back with their original owners. When I say creatures, I mean the imaginary friends. And that does tend to go on for quite a while. So I think if this film was like dead on 90 minutes, it would have probably had a more consistent pace. And I like the ending. I think there's a good twist in there, and there's a good message about, while we do have to mature and grow in some ways, we should never completely lose that child innocence in ourselves. We should maintain some of the imagination that we had as a kid. If we completely lose all imagination, we'll just become shells of ourselves. So I kind of like that idea, and through the grief that this girl is going through, B, it really is her film. I mean, the grief that she has suffered has kind of forced her to look at the world in a more real way, and she has forced herself to grow up. And it's one of those things where her dad is trying to tell her. The dad is actually played by John Krasinski. Her dad is trying to tell her, you don't need to grow up so quickly. You can be a kid for a bit. I mean, she's like 12 years old, I think, 12, 13. So she's got time to sort of enjoy herself and, still be a bit of a kid. But obviously, B is going through some kind of grief, so she's not able to do that just yet. But I like the idea that these imaginary friends, represent nostalgia for some of the older characters and allow them to remember their old, childhood days and what it was like to be a kid. So there really is this kind of theme about being a kid and, imaginary friends being somewhat real in terms of the presence they have, in terms of the good feeling they bring to their counterparts. I just think the movie kind of gets a bit slow. It just kind of drags on, and that's kind of the problem. I wish that it just had more momentum to it. But I have to say, though, the performances are good. The girl, what's her name? Cailey Fleming, who plays B. She's very good. She's very good, and she does have to deliver some emotional scenes, and I think that they cast her very well, because there's some tough moments here. And she doesn't necessarily speak a huge amount at times, but over the course of the story, we do see her develop and overcome her adversities. But to begin with, it's very sad to see her, I guess, depressed, really is the word to use. But she gives a good performance, and she carries the film very well. John Krasinski's good, although he's only in the movie a few scenes. And you've got Ryan Reynolds, who plays Cal, who also is helping her deal with the imaginary friends. The twist regarding him at the end, the revelation about who he truly is, I think is quite interesting, and I mean, kind of predictable where it went, but it made sense. And then the rest of them are kind of voices. Although actually, we do have Fiona Shaw, who was, you may know as Aunt Petunia in the Harry Potter movies. She plays Bee's grandmother in this movie, and I liked her moment where she, through the music and through her imaginary friend, she was able to remember the days when she wanted to be a dancer. Again, the whole theme of nostalgia is quite nice. And the voice cast are good. You've got Steve Carrell as Blue, Louis Gossett Jr. as Lewis, Phoebe Waller-Bridge as Blossom, Alan Kim as Benjamin, and there's many more, but those are the main ones. And they're a good ensemble. They do create some interesting characters, and the CGI and visual effects used to bring these creatures to life works well enough. It's cartoony, but it's not too cartoony that it's unbelievable, if that makes sense. So the realism of the world and the fantasy elements of the world work quite well hand in hand. But there is this one moment where we do go into this random dance sequence. I don't quite know why. During a circus, I think. It's been a while since I've actually seen the movie. I didn't get a chance to do my review straight away. But overall, I think the movie's fine. I think it's decent. It has some good emotional weight to it, and the beginning montage is lovely as well. Our lead protagonist is probably the reason to watch it, but I wouldn't say I would rush back to it. But I think it's harmless fun. So I'm going to give this movie a solid 7 out of 10. It's decent enough, but it definitely could have been a little bit better, and it could have tried to focus in on its point a bit more during the second act and not left the audience kind of bored. So anyway, that's my review of If. What do you think of this film? Please comment down below and let me know, and stay tuned for more reviews in the future. Until next time, see you soon, and bye for now.